I procrastinate. It's still hard to get to the studio. I can be really bad-tempered and grumpy and the world looks awful to me. I can even be crying on my way to the studio. I just do not want to do it. Walking down to the city at street level with the traffic, weaving my way through people rushing to work. Everything looks ugly to me. The city looks dirty. And then I open the door to this space and it's just magical. Looking out on this incredible panorama of Midtown Manhattan with spires rising into a kind of triangular composition. Parts of these buildings were reflected in other buildings, and the clouds coming across was different every single day and through the year. So the light, as it moved through the seasons, would hit the buildings in different ways. So the shadows would change daily. In that sky, it kind of transcended the confines of the city. It always was full of fresh possibility. Part of my daily practice was doing something with that view, either a photo or a painting, or sometimes drawing it on my coffee cup. One day I just picked up my coffee cup because I'd run out of paper, and I started to draw. It became part of my ritual coming down here to the studio to bribe myself with a cup of coffee. And then when I get here, I would draw on it. Over time, I had hundreds of these cups and started to exhibit them as installations in increasingly large numbers. And it just took off and went from there. We noticed one day that they were doing surveying in the parking lot and discovered that they were going to put up a building, which is happening all over the neighborhood. And I thought, I'm leaving. I can't stay here. This view, this open view is so important to me, this view of the sky and the changing weather, and it informs my work so much that I'm going to just go. And then I thought, no, I think I'll stay. I'm actually going to stay with a determination to experience the transformation. I started to draw the construction process. And then at a certain point, the floors began to arrive. And I really was fascinated by the variety of pattern and color in the materials they were using, in the clothes they were wearing, and then the movement of these workers around the space. I felt rather godlike on my 13th floor. I'm leaning out, I'm drawing on my cup, I'm making little videos, I'm holding it in my hand, and the construction is way down below. There was a hiatus, there was a stop work order for a couple of months, and somehow we felt hopeful in the building that the inevitable might not happen, but then they sorted out their issues and resumed work. And when they resumed work, they were full steam ahead, double the number of people. I just felt that incredible energy. As they came up closer and closer, I had to move to bigger pages. I could no longer contain it on the cup. It was no longer something I could hold in my hands. And then in December, they arrived. It was like theater. It was like being in the front row of a Broadway theater. Scaffolding up, nets up, arc lights shining into the building, looking through the netting, orange and purple and blue contrasting light, neon yellow safety jackets, white hard hats. I would come in at dawn just to watch the sun come up and hit the construction site from the side and illuminate the stage. I was awestruck by how extraordinarily beautiful that was. Some of the workmen began to notice me. I was sitting in the window drawing, and they turned around and they saw me. And they was like, "Hello!" And they would shout over and ask me what I was doing, so I would open the window and hang my canvases out so they could see. And slowly, they've gone away. And by the end of February, the view was gone. My new friend, the monolith. In my life over the last 5 or 6 years, there actually been a series of losses. My mother, my father, and my sister, all of them had chronic terminal illnesses. Somehow my experience in this studio reflected that experience when you see someone ill, you see them deteriorating, and you know something's coming. You know you're gonna lose something you really love dearly, and you can't stop it. My sister had fallen into a depression. I don't know if I had a sense of inevitability about that, but I certainly had a feeling of helplessness. In sort of the same way this construction below my window was arriving and there was nothing I could do. My sister died last summer. She took her own life. I wasn't here much. I didn't get into the studio much. And then eventually you get to a point where you realize that a death is like a monolith that can't be shifted. It's not going to go away. Like many artists, I get blocked. I feel like I'm standing at the edge of a black void. And each artwork for me is an artwork between me and the void. Each drawing, each painting, each cup. So if I find a theme or a thread or a way of working that keeps me a good distance away from the void, then I go with it. It hasn't always made sense financially to do this. It's always a hand-to-mouth situation. And yet I show up. I show up and I make the work. And that's what keeps me going. The worst moment of the day is standing outside the door, getting the key out of my bag. And when I open the door and walk in, I'm immediately filled with a feeling of euphoria. I just look out the window, I look around in my space, and I'm here. I made it.